Good morning. Welcome, familia, to our collaboration with Peapack-Gladstone Bank. We are here to present members and friends with tools to combat the inflation that our country is facing. The area where the bank was founded, I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, Peapack-Gladstone, is a real hidden gem of New Jersey. I'm about 20 minutes away, and it's one of my favorite areas of the state. It's a big horse country. As you see in some of their logos, you'll see the horse. They're celebrating 100 years in business. I have a beautiful table book that somebody from the bank gave me with beautiful photography from the area spanning the 100 years. As you know, the Chamber, we're the voice of the 120,000 Hispanic-owned businesses that call New Jersey home, a state whose Hispanic gross domestic product, our GDP, exceeds $100 billion a year. The Latino Donor Collaborative just updated their state-by-state Hispanic GDPs also. If the United States Hispanic GDP were its own independent country, we would be the 5th largest economy in the world. With that backdrop, it's very important to know we are an economic powerhouse, an engine that really drives the economy. But guess what? We need to watch our budgets and use some practical strategies in order to make sure that this billions we're pouring to the economy continue to flow and that our companies continue to prosper and strive. I can't stress enough the fact that Peapack is taking their time to share their expertise with us and remember those that help us, help our members when we're making business decisions. It's folks like Peapack that are walking the walk, not just talking the talk, as they say. It's my pleasure now to introduce Carolina Rozeski, who's the Community Development Officer at Peapack-Gladstone Bank. And after her, we're going to have Andrew Glatz, who's the Senior Managing Director and Head of SBA at Peapack-Gladstone Bank. So Carolina, I pitch it to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carlos. I am very happy to be here today sharing information with my colleague, Andrew Glatz. He's really the subject matter expert on this topic. And yes, it's such an important topic that is inflation in today's economy. And thank you to the Chamber for this opportunity. I am myself Latina from Bogota, Colombia. I have 13 years of banking experience, and I have been working for Peapack-Gladstone Bank for over 10 years. Andy, do you want to introduce yourself?
Good morning, everyone. My name's Andy Glatz. I head the SBA department up here at Peapack. I've been here about 7 years and in SBA lending over 25 years. And again, I'm happy to be here and share some of the information that we have and what we see here at the bank. So we're going to start off, a little overview. What is inflation? I'm going to read the definition here on our first slide. So the inflation measures the progressive increase in the price of goods and services over a set period of time. As the cost of products and services go up, consumers start buying less. So what that means, there's a reduction in your purchasing power. And you see it out there. It's always been out there. Right now it's just getting a lot more attention than it has been. So I say it's always been out there. If you had, we had an example, $100,000 in 2002, what that buys today is a lot less. So it's a gradual increase. Right now it's a rapid increase and, rapid. So we're at, we haven't seen these numbers in 40 years. A lot of you, small business owners, you probably haven't experienced, numbers like this before. You haven't seen it. It's been a long time, and it's, like anything, it's front and center. You're getting hit with this right now. So we're going to talk a little bit more about it. Next slide. How the inflation is measured, where they come up with this. So they have, the CPI, Consumer Price Index, the PCE. They come up with all these numbers, and the government comes up, they take all this and put it together, and they come up with an inflation number. So what that does is, again, it's in your face, you see it. I think July we're at 8.5, which is a pretty good number when we're used to seeing numbers, 1, 2, 3%. So that 8.5 gets your attention. And what that does is it means your buying power is reduced. They got to figure out a way to combat that. And, the Fed's involved. You think about it, what they do, what this inflation number is used for, other than a lot of pain for small businesses, they use it to measure welfare benefits, Social Security benefits. You as small business owners, you also see it when you go to pay your employees. You probably have some employees now saying, I'm requesting a raise to keep up with the cost of living. I need, and they may quote, well, inflation's at 8%, my raise was 2%, we need more money. So that's where, that number affects everybody. And, again, you see it more when it's bad, when it's not, you just go along with it. But right now, that's where it comes from. That's what the number is. What caused it? Next slide. So, what do we say? Perfect storm. We started to see an increase in the inflation, probably mid 2021. Right after the pandemic, there was, we say consumers, businesses were flush with cash. That was the government being proactive with getting a lot of money out there, stimulus programs, a lot of stuff to help the economy at that point, which they did, maybe too much. There was also supply chain issues, fewer workers in the workspace there, and then we also had the Russian invasion. So what this did is it caused, crazy effect. And I say that where the money, the PPP money, the idle money, the unemployment benefits were all good, but it put a lot of money out there, and the demand was really high and the supply was low. You saw all these delays and the cargo ships sitting out in San Diego. The product wasn't getting out there. People were flush with cash. So that's what caused it. And is it any one of those? That's pretty much a combination of everything. And so that's what caused it. Next slide. And small businesses, unfortunately, are going to feel it more. And I say that where, you look at an Amazon or a Google or so, they can adjust, they can find ways, they can, they have surpluses there. Small businesses, you're going to feel it more. You have less wiggle room. You don't have really the capacity. You're going to feel it. So that number is not just a number on the screen there, that 8%, 9%, you're going to feel it on your bottom line. So we're going to talk a little bit more about, some ways that we see and some ideas and some, helpful hints there that we can help you deal with a little bit more. Next slide. Now, this one, the main one here, we're going to talk a little bit about small businesses and red tape. Where we see it here at the bank, and a lot of our customers who have been affected by, is the increase in licensing, compliance, government requirements. Where we saw it is with the governments, the towns, the counties. Well, they're trying to increase their revenues, the pandemic and taxes, and they didn't receive their share. They also have increases. So you'll probably see in the small business end an increase in permits, an increase in taxes. Real estate taxes have been affected. So you're going to see a lot more increases on that end than maybe you would have seen before. Raising product and services are also different ways that you have to cope with the inflation. Next slide. This one here, I don't even think I need to go over it. You probably can tell me how it affects the small businesses just to see the numbers, but you see it yourself. Electricity, natural gas, food, paper, shipping, air travel, across the board. And it's, we put that up here just so you see it's not one industry, one small business is affected more than others. It pretty much encompasses all small business, all large businesses, right now the nation. So as a small business, we'll come up with some ideas, some helpful hints that, we can try to help you manage it. If nothing else, be more aware of the situation and how to deal with it. Next slide.
Andrew, can I stop you here so Tatiana could go over some of your comments that you made and just translate them in Spanish for us?
Sure.
I'm going to introduce Tatiana Vivas, who's going to give us a summary. She's a member of our familia, always help us out. So thank you, Tatiana. And if you could give some of our Spanish language speakers just a summary, a overview of some of the slides that Andrew and Carolina have gone over.
Thank you so much, Carlos. Buenos días a todos. Mi nombre es Tatiana y voy a estar aquí el día de hoy dándoles un resumen de lo que estamos hablando el día de hoy. Entonces, el día de hoy, con un partnership entre el Peapack-Gladstone Bank y la Cámara de Comercio. Estamos hablando sobre los efectos de la inflación en los pequeños negocios y nos vamos a enfocar muchísimo en la forma de afrontarlos. Entonces, hablamos un poquito sobre lo que es el Peapack-Gladstone y que ha estado siendo un banco desde 1921 en el área de Bedminster, y ellos están en estos momentos apoyando con información sobre la inflación y cómo afrontarlo. Entonces, la inflación es lo que mide el aumento progresivo de precios de los bienes y servicios durante un periodo de tiempo determinado. Entonces, en esos momentos nos estamos escuchando esa palabra muchísimo y nos encontramos pensando, ¿es algo nuevo? Pero no, es algo que normalmente pasa gradualmente y en estos momentos está pasando de una manera rápida. Lo vemos a través del índice de precio de consumo y el índice de gastos de consumo personal. Es decir, los precios que están variando directamente para los consumidores y los gastos que estamos teniendo, los gastos extras. Entonces, Andrew habló un poco sobre lo que causa la inflación y hay diferentes factores, no es uno determinado, sino tal vez la mezcla de todos. Y desde la mitad del 2021 nos estamos encontrando directamente con todos estos factores que están funcionando para que la inflación vaya de una manera más acelerada. Entonces, tenemos como ejemplos las interrupciones en las cadenas de suministro, hay menos trabajadores en estos momentos en el mercado laboral. Y también tenemos la invasión rusa y Ucrania, como todos nosotros sabemos. Entonces, la inflación afecta muchísimo a lo que es la pequeña empresa y las pequeñas empresas son las que van a sentir un poco más la inflación por la subida de los costes que tenemos. Entonces, a veces no pueden repercutir toda esta subida de costos también hacia los precios a sus clientes y es por eso que el día de hoy se va a hablar de ciertas maneras de cómo podemos, como pequeños negocios, afrontar la inflación. Entonces, la inflación afecta de diferentes maneras y nos podemos dar cuenta de esto en nuestras cuentas de electricidad, gas natural, alimentación, otros artículos y bueno, todos nos dimos cuenta también en el gas para nuestros vehículos, ¿verdad? El día de hoy, Andrew nos está hablando de esto y Carolina también. Ambos tienen experiencias no solo en el banco que se encuentran actualmente en Peapack-Gladstone, sino también otra experiencia y Carolina es también colombiana, entonces para ella es muy importante que nosotros como hispanos podamos conversar sobre estos temas. Gracias.
Great. Thank you, Tatiana. And now, Andrew, if you could continue. Thank you very much.
Okay, no, you're welcome. So we have how to protect your business from inflation. Couple ideas, and we'll spend a little more time on these. Review your expenses weekly. And, you know, that's important. And again, we see it here at the bank, and we deal with a lot of small businesses. You know, bad news is better now than down the road. We know you're small businesses, you're running around, you wear many hats, but it's important to stay on top of it. And, you know, you think about it, it's better to know weekly, quarterly, if there's something that should have been changed and you find out at the end of the year, well, that's not the time when you're sitting down with your accountant and you're thinking you're profitable and next thing you know, you lost a ton of money. Review them, see if there's something that's out of whack, see if you're being charged wrong. With the inflation, you may see your expenses that you weren't, you know, expecting to have something increase as much as it did. Be proactive, get involved early, review them. If it's not you, have somebody do it for you. There's enough software out there that you can put your information in and keep track of it. Make adjustments as the quarter is going along so you don't have, year-end surprises. That's what you're trying to avoid. Stay on top of it. The next one, run a credit check on new customers, especially whatever line of work or service you're providing. If it's a big order, you want to know your customer there where you can't absorb a big hit. If it's a bad customer, you do all this work, you're expecting a big sale or a big service, and next thing you know, you shouldn't have been doing for this person. They have a bad track record. You want to know up front. There's services out there. Do a credit check. Maybe talk to other people in the industry and see if they have any other experience with this company or individual, and see what's out there. But that's important. I know small businesses, everybody's running there, and you don't think about it, but it's great to have the sale. but it's worse to lose it. You know, you're putting in all the expense to purchasing, you have in payroll, you have everything else there. And if it goes the wrong way, that's no good for you either. Stay on top of receivables. And again, sounds simple there, but track it. You want to see your aging of accounts receivable. You want to see where you are. You don't want to be doing any more work for past due clients until they clear it, until they do something with it. You don't want to become the bank. You don't want to, and then you think about it, if you're being squeezed by inflation and expenses are going up, so are they. So if that other party there, if they have a way to utilize, hey, it's easy, no interest, they'll just you're extending them credit when you need to collect it. You have bills due, you have payroll due weekly, monitor your receivables. Again, the way to do it, check your aging, have a weekly, if you don't have it, have your accountant do it or get the software there, but it's important to stay on top of that. Now, require immediate payment. You don't want to, unless you have to, don't offer terms, cash upon services. You may, depending on the situation, you may say, all right, I don't want to do terms, we'll accept cash, maybe I'll do a discount. It's better that you collect as much as you can up front. Again, you don't want to be, nor are you in a position to be the bank. You don't have that capacity. Let them, it's unfortunate, but they need to, fend for themselves. You need to make sure that your business is strong and continues to be strong. Next slide. So how to protect your business from during inflation. Some ideas, again, what we see and what we came up with here, streamline and automate. Now, again, it's a broad topic. We don't necessarily mean have everybody bring in robots and get rid of all your employees, but be aware what's out there. There's ways to automate social media. There's ways to automate invoices, maybe scheduling. And you think about it, more efficient, more cost effective. You don't have somebody doing it, less errors. So if you automate it, I would just be conscious of it. Every business is different. And, from what we've seen, and there's some really neat technology out there, again, not bringing in robots or AI or anything like that. There's social media ways that you can save money, save resources, and have them dedicated to more important roles in your business. And, it could be a big help for you. Analyze your profits. It's probably one of the biggest ones. What you need to do, if you don't have it there, have your accountant do it, or again, get the software. You want to see where your business is at any given point. And the best way to start would be probably pre-COVID, where were you in 19? What happened in 20? And where are you now? And what that means is your revenues, less your expenses, is your profit. And not just a general number with your expenses, itemize them, so you have all your line items with your expenses, and that'll be your eye opener. You want to see what your utilities were in 19, what they were in 20, and unfortunately where they are today, or what your gas expense was. That's a real good way to stay on top of it. Again, each business is different. Some may be affected more in other areas than your business, but you want to see what's affecting you most. You may be surprised. Maybe your marketing expense has just gone up through the roof, and that was affected. You're doing a lot of mailings and other items like that, but you need to see it. You got to be involved with it. And again, it's unfortunate. It's another hat the small business owner wears. Now you're a finance person, because nobody's going to be, more concerned about your bottom line and your profits than you are. And it's, we can't emphasize it enough here at the bank. We have conversations with small businesses, and, they find out the information too late, or we tell them, what happened to your profitability? And they're like, we thought we were profitable, or I didn't think I was losing it in that area. So it's the information, the detailed information, line items, all your expenses, see where you're being affected, what's affecting you, and, be proactive. And get in there and, do the best you can with it. Improve productivity, be more efficient, cut expenses, stock up on supplies. Again, everybody's different. Where we see it, buy in bulk. If you have the opportunity and if you have the funding available and you can get good pricing and you can, purchase something in quantity that you're going to use, it's not, perishable or anything like that, great way to do it. Purchase now of something that you're going to need and you're able to do it. If you can buy at a discount, why not? Why not save the money and raise prices? We put that last. Unfortunately, I think it's one of the most important. You got to raise prices, but do it as needed. And I say that where a slight increase, continued slight increase, is probably not as bad as a one-time big number. So you want to know goes back to the financials. Know what you need to increase your prices by. See what your competition is doing, and maybe a $5 increase doesn't sound like much, but if you have 100, 1,000, 10,000 customers, that's a big number to your bottom line. And that's where information, you want to know what that number should be. You want to see where you don't want to price yourself out of the market. And the way you would do that, it's not just saying, well, here's what everybody else is doing. Know your numbers. Maybe your expenses are in line. Maybe you've been on top of this all the while there, and you saw it coming. So you don't necessarily need to raise your prices as much. Next slide. Just a couple tips here. Never going to end, unfortunately, right? So we said in the beginning, inflation's always going to be here. You want to understand it. You want to continue to change with it. Know your business. Be prepared. Know your financials. Stay small. Now, what we mean by that is, know what you need to deal with. You don't need to be the biggest one out there. You don't need to be that Amazon or Google. You're smaller means you have smaller expenses, smaller overhead. You don't have the massive employees that they have to deal with. You don't have all the, unfortunately, headaches that they have to deal with. So staying small, you can control it a little bit better. Your numbers, maybe you have a strong profit margin with that small business than you would with a larger business. Again, we see it here firsthand. Large top end, revenues doesn't necessarily mean a strong bottom line. They could do a tremendous business, but then there's a tremendous amount of expenses that go along with it. Marketing to current customers, and I think that's helpful where, stay in touch with everybody. And the way you market, make sure it's efficient. There's online, there's email blasts. You can do ways that it's not very expensive, but let them know you're there. Let them know you're in this together. Be a great time to offer, deals. We're doing bundles, or we're putting combined services together. You're reaching out to all your existing customers, a loyal customer benefit, or a discount. Here's what we're doing, or have open houses for your existing customers. There's some really good ideas out there, and we've seen here at the bank even. We have small businesses that combine their services. Where we had a salon, and I think it was a winery, combine their services. Great combination. So the open house. So they would bring they would bring a couple wines and have a wine tasting event at the salon. They were able to bring a whole new group of people in there. They combined services, shared the marketing. So be creative with that. But don't forget about your existing customers who've been there. They've been with you through the ride. They're also in it, the ups and downs. Stay in touch with them. The focus on, money to your inside business goes back to the financials. So we want to make sure that you stay involved with the financials end of it, and make sure you manage your money accordingly. The last one I have here is take out a loan. And I say that where it's the easy fixed. Oh, all right, expenses are going up, you get a loan. I think it's great to have, but know what you're getting into. And what I mean by that, there's good and not so good loans. You got to pay them all back. But there's loans that you can get 24 hours or 48 hours, and you get the money, and that's great. It helps you out. Make sure you're aware of what the repayment is, or what the terms and conditions are. And some of them are, especially these days, are very aggressive, where you'll be shocked what the interest rates are, where you'll be in a worse position than you were before. And again, it's something that you want to do your homework on. Make sure you understand that the the money sometimes are not even monthly payments, not even weekly. Some are taken out daily from your merchant services. So the loan, we think it's a great idea. I think it's great to service a small business. Lines of credit, I think it's very helpful to a small business. Rainy day money, you never know. One, to combat inflation, but also you never know. We get hit. Look what's going on in Florida, a hurricane. Your business will be disrupted for a period of time. You weren't expecting it. You need access to capital. All right, line of credit. You want to make sure you have some availability. Know what you have, and like anything, the time to get that is when you really don't need it. The timing is a little longer than expected to get the loan. If you're expecting a day, it'll take a week, it'll take 2 weeks. Have it in place, let it sit there. Line of credit, it's like a large credit card. You don't need it. It's available to you. When you do, you can access it, immediately. But we spend a little more time on the loans for the small business. I think it's really important. You want to make sure that, look what we went through, or look what you went through with the pandemic, that you have access to capital, know what you're getting into. Sometimes the simplest and the quickest is not always the best. Sometimes they are. Just be aware. If you're not familiar with it, or if it doesn't make sense, your accountant, can shed some light on it, or call, the bank. We'd be more than happy to share, our experiences and compare the two options to you. But that's something I think, every small business should have. And, if not, be gearing up towards that. So that meaning you're waiting for your financials to get prepared, and you're going to, submit an application to the bank and make sure you understand what the bank needs, because it's definitely helpful to have. Or at this point, it's almost a necessity to have. Now, this one here, don't let, next slide, I'm sorry. Don't let inflation get you down. And I say that where, look what you went through the last 2 years. We're going on 3 years. You're the small businesses are the heart of the country. The majority of employees are now under small businesses. Resilient, very resilient, and it'll pass. I say that even we did a couple other, webinars here, and I think our first one is how to deal with COVID. Well, COVID came, COVID passed. It was painful, but now we're how to deal with inflation. This too will pass. I don't think you want to put your head in the sand. You want to deal with it. You want to be proactive as best you can. Information is key. The more information you have, and I think that's what we want to emphasize with this presentation, is if you don't have it, find it. We're a good resource. The internet is a tremendous resource. Help yourself out and be aware of what's going on out there. But stay positive. Stay positive and try not to. Unfortunately, it's like the stock market these days. You see that inflation number. Well, you see the stock market red number down. It'll turn. The inflation number, it's all over the place. You see it. It's hitting you every day there. It'll pass. Hopefully the measures that the Fed's taken will eventually kick in. They're being real aggressive. You see it with the interest rates, but that will take hold. It'll probably take a little time. You'll see a slowdown, but that's what they want. It'll curb inflation, get things back to a little bit more normalcy, and have you focus more on your business and growing it than seeing this inflation number. I think that's all I have. I think that's our last slide. I think the next one we have is for any questions.
I'll bring Tatiana back in to do some translating, and then we'll start taking some questions. We have about 4 or 5 in the queue.
Entonces hablamos un poquito de cómo proteger a nuestras empresas de la inflación, ¿verdad? Y una de las cosas en las que nos tenemos que enfocar mucho es leer nuestros libros de reglamento. Revisar, por ejemplo, nuestros gastos semanales, asegurándonos de que si básicamente los precios han subido, pues nosotros también podamos ver eso en nuestros registros, ¿verdad? Podemos también comprobar el crédito de nuestros nuevos clientes. Si tienen un cliente que normalmente va a hacer pedidos muy grandes o pedidos muy frecuentemente, tal vez queremos revisar el crédito y también apoyarlos con esa parte si es que ellos lo necesitan, y si muestran también un problema, pues asegurarnos de cobrar con anticipación, mantenernos siempre al tanto de lo que son las cuentas por cobrar y exigir en todo lo posible el pago de inmediato, ¿verdad? Crear diferentes contratos que nosotros tengamos hacia con los clientes, darles fechas límites y asegurarnos también de estar siempre pendientes de hacer los pagos con las personas que nos han pagado. Entonces, para poder llegar a esto, tenemos que hacer ciertas cosas. Tenemos que agilizar y automatizar los procesos. Esto no quiere decir que solamente vamos a utilizar máquinas en lugar de personas, pero podemos ayudarnos a que ciertos registros ya se puedan hacer en línea, que ciertos procesos también se puedan hacer en línea de una manera más productiva y analizar a través de eso nuestros márgenes de beneficio. Tal vez incluso nos cuesta menos mantener todo más organizado con anticipación. Para eso mejorar la productividad y el recorte de gastos también a la medida que sea posible, sobre todo en estos tiempos que estamos en la inflación rápida, y pensar también en subir los precios con criterio, ¿verdad? Acabamos de tener una alza tal vez directamente relacionada con lo que fue el COVID, y en estos momentos nos encontramos con la inflación, en donde hay precios que han subido para nosotros. Entonces revisar también cuál es nuestro margen de beneficio y a partir de eso revisar la subida de nuestros precios como pequeños negocios. Ciertos consejos que yo ando sobre hacer frente a la inflación es primero que tengamos en mente que la inflación no va a acabar. La inflación va a seguir de una manera gradual. En estos momentos está muy rápida y esperamos que eso sí acabe pronto, pero la inflación es un proceso que va a seguir sucediendo. Entonces, la idea es que podamos hacer un mercado, que le hablemos a nuestros clientes, que hagamos marketing para mantener la lealtad de nuestros clientes y también obtener nuevos clientes. Habló también sobre la idea general que a veces no queremos pedir préstamos porque como pequeños negocios pensamos que tal vez no los necesitamos en estos momentos, pero siempre es bueno que con anticipación ya tengamos una línea de crédito para poder tener dinero que podamos utilizar en el caso de cualquier emergencia. Y se da el ejemplo sobre el huracán, lo que está sucediendo en estos momentos en Florida, y también, por ejemplo, lo que vivimos durante la pandemia, que muchos negocios no tenían el influjo de efectivo, pero si ya tenían una línea de crédito, podían acceder a este dinero con más facilidad. La idea general es que no dejemos que la inflación básicamente nos bajone. Es algo que va a seguir sucediendo y debemos prepararnos, y mientras más nos preparemos con anticipación, mejor nos puede ir. Entonces, los propietarios de las pequeñas empresas, que somos el corazón del país, que básicamente estamos trabajando en todo esto, es cuestión de tener resistencia y de seguir todos estos tips para que la inflación no llegue a perturbar completamente nuestro negocio. La idea se basa en estrategias, narrativos participativos, ejecución, revisar los diferentes recursos que tienen disponibles en las diferentes organizaciones, en los diferentes bancos también en el río. Entonces, en estos momentos vamos a ir a la sección de preguntas con Carolina.
So we'll take our first question now. The first question is from Antonio Perez from YouTube. What's the best way to check customer credit?
Good question. There's services out there. I think Dun & Bradstreet has one. The bank has a little different services, but we can, if we have your information, we can share some specific ones after the call there. And what that would show is, it's like a, sort of a credit report or a trade history, that if there's any issues prior that would jump out and, sort of give a red flag not to maybe do business with that individual or company.
I can also add that you can go to annualcreditreport.com, and it is the truly free site mandated by the federal government. And you can have access to all 3 of the credit reporting agencies, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. And like Andy said, if there is anything incorrect, you can dispute it right online in their website. It is important to stay on top of it to watch for any fraud or identity theft. Again, it's annualcreditreport.com, and it's free.
Great. Tatiana, will you...
Entonces tenemos la primera pregunta de Antonio Pérez que dice ¿cómo podemos revisar el reporte de crédito de nuestros clientes? Básicamente podemos revisarlo a través del reporte de crédito que ellos nos pudieran brindar o también los podemos ayudar haciéndole la revisión en annualcreditreport.com, en donde básicamente allí pueden obtener su reporte de crédito de las 3 diferentes instituciones, Equifax, Experian y TransUnion, y incluso si el cliente tal vez por primera vez se está enterando, tiene alguna disputa, va a poder tener acceso a ese reporte y revisarlo.
Great, thank you. The second part of that question is, how long do you expect inflation will impact businesses during these uncertain times?
But that's a tough question. But from what we see or what we hear and, you know, everything that's out there, hopefully the maybe by the third, fourth quarter of 2023, the increases that the Fed is doing now and the measures that they're taking, we'll start to see the effects there. Hopefully, then, you know, they will not have to continue to raise rates, and, you know, maybe prices will start to stabilize. We have an example, you know, again, we see a lot of small businesses, all different types here. And, you know, I think it's worth sharing. We have a, you know, restaurant here in Jersey, and where there, I think a case of extra large eggs was $39 back probably last year. And in, I think it was May or so, they shared this with us. May, it was up to $90 for a case of extra large eggs. Last month, it was $75. Again, probably more than double what it was last year, but they were actually optimistic that that's good news. So there's still a lot of pain out there, but the price of gas has gone down. You know, maybe we see some things here, maybe that price of gas will affect a lot of other, you know, transportation is a big piece of it. So maybe that'll start to affect it. So to answer your question, we really don't know. What we're hearing is, you know, probably into, you know, 2023, early mid 23 is hopefully when things will start to curb.
Great, thanks, Andrew. Tatiana, can you translate that for us?
Uh-huh. Entonces, la segunda parte de la pregunta fue, ¿por cuánto tiempo se espera que la inflación siga impactando a los pequeños negocios? Básicamente no hay una respuesta concreta, pero lo que se escucha y lo que se está entendiendo es que tal vez a la mitad del 2023 ya empecemos a tener una baja de la inflación. Podemos ver que desde el año pasado han duplicado los precios de ciertas cosas. Vimos el alza de la gasolina, pero podemos ver también que en estos momentos ya está bajando. Entonces es algo que va a estar fluctuando, pero de la manera en que lo vemos es que básicamente a la mitad del año 2023 ya podamos estar saliendo de la rapidez de esta inflación.
Gracias, thank you. The next question is, how does Peapack Bank help and support small businesses overcome inflation, such as grants or other loans, business consultation, or mentorship?
Well, like I mentioned in the presentation, we do a lot of small business lending. We do lines of credit, term loans. I head up the SBA department here at the bank, and the SBA has been, you know, very helpful to small businesses. You know, we definitely support them in our market and even outside our market. As far as grants, there's some out there. We don't see a lot of them because they're directly from either the state or the government. And what I mean by that is that would have been these PPP loans where they're, you know, rolled out directly from the government. There's some out there, but I think a lot of those have, you know, ended right now. And I like to add, you know, when that was out, we did participate heavily in the PPP. We supported a lot of our existing businesses and even smaller businesses that weren't our customers. So the other part of that, I think, how do we assist the small businesses? We do actually a consultation. We do a lot of it with the small business when we do the application. Being a small business owner, they don't have usually the financial support or the professionals on staff. So we find that we're doing a lot of, you know, understanding of explaining the application process, the loan process, how it benefits the small business. We do that either in person or on the phone. And I know Carolina does a lot of that as well with, helping our community.
Tatiana, could you translate that for us, please?
Entonces, ¿cómo el Peapack Bank ayuda a los pequeños negocios para pasar esta inflación y si ellos proveen algún tipo de subvención, préstamo, consultoría o mentoría. Entonces, el Peapack Bank tiene préstamos que pueden ayudar a los pequeños negocios, también tienen líneas de créditos y trabaja con la administración de pequeños negocios. De hecho, Andrew es el director de la parte del SBA en el banco. Y cuestiones de subvenciones en estos momentos ellos no tienen, pero tienen conocimiento de que hay subvenciones muchas veces estatales, muchas veces gubernamentales. Tuvimos, por ejemplo, los préstamos del PPP, que fueron para que los pequeños negocios pudieran ser ayudados durante la pandemia. Dentro de todo esto, al menos con las subvenciones, el banco los ayuda con diferentes consultorías y les provee también asesoramiento de profesionales para poder básicamente llenar estos documentos en donde les hacen también una explicación del proceso y de esta manera están ayudando a los pequeños negocios.
Thank you. The next question is, I'm thinking of opening a new business. Is it a good time now? Any recommendations?
I'd say it all depends on the business and where it's going to be focused on, and what your business plan looks like. And I'll start with that. The business plan is what the bank would require, any bank would require, but it's important for yourself. Put to paper what your thoughts are, what your business is, what the competition is. I go back to financials. So you don't have any historical, it's a new business, but you're going to have projections. Be realistic, how you come up with those projections, meaning what are you selling? What's the price of what you're selling? What your expenses are? And again, be honest, put a salary in there, make sure you got to, what are you going to take out for yourself? Because you do have personal expenses. So the business plan, the bank needs to see, any bank lender is going to want to see it, but it's also something that you need to prepare for yourself so that it'll help determine, all right, here's what I'm faced with now. Here's what I think. I got a great idea. This will work. My expenses are in line. Because if you don't know that first, you wouldn't want to go to a lender. So the question, if it's a good time, really depends. There's certain service industries now that are doing well. There's certain industries, everybody's getting squeezed with it, but some that they can pass the price increase a little bit more onto the customers than others. So I think it's case by case, but I think the important thing is to start with the business plan, do your projections, do your expenses, and see what that bottom line number looks like, and say to yourself, if that's is that enough for you to sustain your small business? Is that enough to sustain your own expenses?
Great, Andrew. I want to add, before you translate, Tatiana, I just wanted to add that the Hispanic Entrepreneurship Training Program and the Latina Entrepreneurship Training Series, LETS, both allow you to graduate with a business plan, which then you'll take that document to the bank. That's really the starting point. Not only starting a business, you need a business plan if you're expanding and you're looking for a large sum of money to buy new equipment, to expand geographic location, to open a new location. So certainly come to the chamber if you need help with your business plan, because we have various methods to help you. And now I'll ask Tatiana, please translate that question and answer.
Entonces, la siguiente pregunta que tenemos ¿es este momento un buen momento para abrir un nuevo negocio y si hay alguna recomendación? Y la respuesta es que básicamente esto depende de las diferentes circunstancias en las que nos encontremos, también la industria a la que nos estemos tratando de localizar y depende también si nosotros tenemos ya nuestro plan de negocio, tenemos que hacerlo, si hemos vislumbrado cuál va a ser el salario que queremos, si hemos visto también los precios que necesitamos pagar por nuestros servicios, cuánto vamos a cobrar. Depende también del enfoque que nosotros le podamos dar a nuestro negocio. Hay ciertas industrias a las que en estos momentos o a partir de la pandemia les está yendo mejor y hay ciertas industrias que en estos momentos no están funcionando muy bien. Entonces, la idea general es que depende de cada persona, depende de cada negocio que nosotros queramos abrir. En lo que sí se concuerda es que por lo menos tener el plan de negocio. Y Carlos nos compartió las dos clases que da la Cámara de Comercio, que son HEP y LETS, para los pequeños negocios, en donde cuando se gradúan a partir de estas clases pueden ya terminar con el plan de negocio con el que pueden ir a la apertura de su nuevo negocio o también directamente a los bancos.
Thank you. Another question is, trying to make this out. Should I increase my percentage of marketing budget during this inflationary period?
I think it goes back to what the expense would be. So if you're able to market, email or online, then I would say yes. Market to your existing customers. Bottom line, how much increasing marketing expense would increase your revenues? And you're going to have an actual, concrete number with that, maybe not, but you have a pretty good idea to say if you're going to, what the extent of that marketing is. Are you going to put a billboard on the turnpike? That's going to be pretty expensive. If you're able to do a lot of marketing online, do it yourself, that could have a pretty big impact. But I just say, figure out what that expense is. But from what we've seen and talking to small businesses and even here at the bank, marketing has a big impact, especially existing customers really appreciate hearing from you. And they want to hear that, you've been there with them through the tough times and through the COVID, the pandemic and everything else there. And, maybe you have something new to offer them. I think that'd be a great time to reach out to them.
Tatiana, please.
Entonces, la siguiente pregunta es si deberíamos en estos momentos aumentar el porcentaje del presupuesto de mercadeo. Y la respuesta es también depende. Depende si nosotros ya hemos revisado cuál va a ser el gasto que queremos. A la medida de lo posible, si lo podemos mantener reducido haciendo uso de las diferentes herramientas que tenemos en línea, pues está bien. Pero también podemos revisar cuáles son los diferentes gastos que tenemos y a partir de eso también va a ser a revisar cuál va a ser el retorno de nuestra inversión. Si es algo que de verdad nos va a atraer más clientes y nos está en estos momentos proporcionando ganancias, pues sí. Si es algo que lo podemos hacer directamente en línea, sin hacer mayor gasto, si podemos directamente hacer outreach y contactar a nuestros clientes actuales para mantener esa lealtad de cliente, pues tal vez también lo podemos dejar en línea. Así que depende si hemos analizado las diferentes circunstancias y el retorno de inversión que vamos a recibir.
Thank you, Tatiana. I'll mention that the chamber could offer also, methods such as our newsletter. In our digital age, there are inexpensive ways to market. So as Andrew said, you don't have to hire a PR firm and launch a whole campaign. There's ways to be lean and do it economically with the tools that are available today. I see another question here. I have a cannabis company. Federally, I can't get an SBA loan or a bank loan. How do you suggest me getting a line of credit or bank loan? Are there any grants for cannabis retailers? That's from Kevin.
So Kevin, that's a little bit of a challenge right now. And I think in the question, you answered it, right? SBA is not on board and the banks are not on board yet. Is that something that's going to be coming down the road? Maybe, but it's, I really don't have too much of a suggestion right now. I think there might be some, lenders out there that specialize in that. I'm not too familiar with them here, but, I don't have anything that, we can offer here at the bank right now or the SBA.
Tatiana.
Entonces, antes de que se me pase, Carlos también mencionó ciertas revistas digitales como por ejemplo la Cámara tienen donde se puede pasar cierta información de los pequeños negocios y a partir de eso pueden hacer mercadeo y pueden hacer uso de diferentes herramientas digitales como esta. En lugar de contratar todo lo que es una firma de relaciones públicas, se puede hacer esto a través de diferentes organizaciones. Y la siguiente pregunta es, tengo una compañía de cannabis y federalmente no puedo recibir ningún préstamo del SBA, de la Administración de Pequeños Negocios, y normalmente de un banco tampoco, porque en estos momentos no están dando para los negocios de cannabis. Pero esto es actual. Tal vez en algún momento se puedan recibir estas ayudas extras, entonces pues que sigan allí, que sigan preparando sus documentos y que los mantengan listos para cuando se abran.
Thank you, Tatiana. And Kevin, you could reach out to the chamber. I believe there's some smaller community banks that have been lending for cannabis, although it is very rare, as Andrew mentioned.
Y Kevin, se puede comunicar también directamente con la Cámara. Tal vez tenemos los recursos para compartir información de diferentes bancos comunitarios que están ayudando, pero como Andrew mencionó, sí es un poco difícil con los bancos.
Andrew, I do not have any more questions at this point. Do you have any comments you'd like to make, or Carolina, any comments that you'd like to make at this point?
No.
Okay.
Go ahead. Okay, no, I just wanted to, I don't know if we have time, a couple of minutes to give a quick overview about Peapack-Gladstone Bank. I wanted to give this at the beginning, but if we can do it at the end, that would be great.
Sure, please, Carolina.
Yes, so I just want to say that Peapack-Gladstone Bank was founded in 1921, and it is a New Jersey bank holding company with a total assets of 9.5 billion as of June 30, 2022. So we are a pretty big bank. Peapack-Gladstone has a total of 20 branches in Somerset, Hunterdon, Morris, and Union counties, and its headquarters in Bedminster. We provide innovative private banking services to businesses, nonprofits, and consumers. We have an experienced team with deep industry expertise and unwavering commitment to our clients. Our foundation is built in 5 core principles: professionalism, we compete to win, we are one team, our clients come first, and we invest in our community and pride ourselves on the depth of our relationship with our clients. Like Andy said, we offer small business loans. We also offer affordable mortgages and other products and services for your financial needs. We have a great website and a user-friendly app. That's all I wanted to say.
Tatiana?
Sí, entonces queríamos dar un poco más de información sobre lo que es el Peapack-Gladstone Bank, y básicamente es un holding bancario de Nueva Jersey con un total de activos de 9.500 millones que presta servicios financieros a través de su filial, que es propiedad absoluta. Ellos se encuentran en Bedminster, New Jersey, trabajan en diferentes condados, tienen 100 años de patrimonio, tienen un equipo con gran experiencia, tienen un crecimiento también significativo, tanto ellos como los negocios con los que trabajan, y un compromiso inquebrantable con sus clientes.
Thank you. Andrew?
Carlos, all I want to say is appreciate the opportunity. We, myself and the bank, we thank you. I think this was really good. And my contact information is, I think, on the last slide for the PowerPoint there. You know, everybody, please, reach out. If there was any questions that you have after, or you don't want to ask them now, reach out. I'd be more than happy to. Again, we're an active SBA lender. We're a preferred lender throughout the country. You know, the bank really embraces our small businesses. We think it's, it's great. We help out as best we can. And with organizations, like Carlos is here, I think it's, it's a great way to work. So reach out to me. Be more than happy to answer any questions, or if it's something in person, we'd be more than happy to meet in person.
Thanks, Andrew. And again, I want to repeat, it's Hispanic Heritage Month, and we thank Peapack-Gladstone for their partnership. Without partnerships like we have with Peapack, we wouldn't be able to offer the array and library of services that we do. So we really appreciate the partnership. Do you plan on opening any other branches? Are you looking for real estate in any other parts of the state right now, Peapack?
Right now, we're not, but you never know what tomorrow brings, right? There's always one thing, there's always a lot of change going on, but we'll continue to service our communities, and we're expanding it. But as far as any branches, I don't have any answers for you right now.
Sure. I have another question for you, Andrew. Has COVID changed the way you do, and this could be industry-wide, has it changed the way Peapack does business as far as remote, virtual, hybrid models?
It's, it like a small business, it made us more efficient at times. It opened our eyes up to certain processes that were being done that probably weren't as efficient as they could be. And, I think we're a lot more efficient with our application process, and, our time management's a little more effective here. But it's, as far as the scheduling with people and employees, we have a hybrid approach, so I think we're managing it just like everybody else there. but I think what we learned from it is, we can be, we weren't perfect either, and it made us more efficient in a lot of different ways.
Great, thank you. Any last comments from anybody?
I just wanted to say what Andrew said in Spanish. Entonces, la información de Andrew fue compartida en uno de los slides. En estos momentos, el banco es un banco que está activamente dando préstamos con el SBA. Andrew y Carolina están muy agradecidos de estar aquí. Y su plataforma ha cambiado un poco desde el COVID, pero no mucho. En estos momentos ellos se encuentran haciendo tiempo completo de hablar con sus clientes. Tienen las opciones de hacer citas de manera híbrida. Están utilizando tanto el que puedan ir a los bancos, y también Carolina mencionó que hay una plataforma user-friendly que ayuda mucho a los usuarios para que se les facilite el acceso. Entonces tienen toda esta opciones para poder contactarse directamente con el Peapack-Gladstone.
Thank you, Tatiana. Again, thank you, Carolina. Thank you, Andrew. Again, this is an important partnership to help our members. At the end of the day, that's what we're doing here day and night, trying to help our members weather this storm of inflation after weathering the storm of COVID. But we know we're resilient, and we're going to pivot, and we're going to make it work, working together. At the end of the day, it's all about working together. So thank you. Thank you to Peapack-Gladstone, and have a great day.
Thank you.